Hello, this is Stash from Stash Productions, and this is my speaking version, revised version of The Babylon Working and the Atomic Bomb Ritual, which is really kind of a biographical sketch of Jack Parsons, who was born Marvel Whiteside Parsons on October 2, 1914. He was a legitimate rocket scientist and chemist. He is the co founder of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the JPL. It, he was raised in Pasadena, California, and had a fascination with science fiction. He played a significant, or more than significant, role in the development of solid fuel and liquid fuel rockets. He had a crater in the moon on the dark side dedicated to him. He was also a legitimate occultist, and perhaps that was even more important to him. Parsons joined Crowley, that's Aleister Crowley, aka the Beast, the famous occultist, Ordo Temporale Orientalis, OTO, Lodge in 1939, and he actually became the leader of its California branch in 1942. Again, Parsons practiced actual ritual magic, believing it would enhance his scientific work. And he was conned and defrauded by the infamous L. Ron Hubbard, who founded Scientology. And also, they went after him in the McCarthy era. Parsons died pretty young age in 1952 in an explosion of his home laboratory under mysterious circumstances. He blended his scientific genius with esoteric mysticism. Crowley was even said to have warned Hubbard about doing a working. So, in our minds, as non occultists, we think that he died from an explosion messing around with his chemicals or rocketry equipment, but he was probably doing a blend of that and actual black magic or magic activity. He was instrumental in advancing composite rocket propellants, which became crucial for space travel, and he had a company, Aerojet. Despite his massive contributions to science and rocketry and space travel, he gets dismissed from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, in 1944 for his thelema and occult practices. Thelema means will in Greek, and it was very pushed by the infamous beast Aleister Crowley. Because of this, his esoteric beliefs and weirdness, or perhaps his strangeness, his evilness, um, he it gets overshadowed. It overshadows his achievements. Some say, but he believed in true will. Strange Angel is a quasi real fictionalized version of his life that is an awesome TV series, but maybe it dealt too deeply in, and unfortunately they canceled it after 2 seasons. Crowley actually got into it and quarreled with Parsons. He thought Parsons was reckless and weak minded. But Parsons didn't care. He still remained dedicated to Lima, the will. Love is the law, love under will. Do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. Which sounds a lot like Isani Saba's anything is possible, everything is permitted. I'll have to edit that out. Anyway, uh, Those quotes I don't have exactly right. But needless to say, we're talking about the Babylon working. This was a series of occult rituals conducted in 1946 by Parson and L. Ron Hubbard. So L. Ron Hubbard is thought of as a cult leader, but actually he was a significant occultist as well, not just a cult leader. But the two blend. They thought that this Babylon working was aimed at invoking the Thelemic goddess Babylon into human form. And these rituals were, of course, inspired by the teachings of Aleister Crowley, Pederabolo, who thought he was the incarnation of Eliphas Levi, the occultist, whose Baphomet discussions are the current age. Baphomet, the goat-headed combination of male and female entity that's very popular now. Again, Parsons believed that Babylon represented the divine feminine and a force of transformation and liberation. So he wanted to bring forth the presence of the Babylon. The controversial writer and researcher James Shelby Downard claimed that the powerful shadowy groups in the US government and elsewhere had a great whore of Babylon, and I've sometimes speculated that Marjorie Cameron might have been involved. Or later on, the pop singer Britney Spears, for some reason, she seems to be the great whore of that age, at least thematically, to say the least. So, this was sex magic involving the Babylon working and Enochian invocations. Enochian is a language developed or pushed by the great occultist Dr. John Dee, who was the Elizabethan era astrologer and occultist for Queen Elizabeth herself. And he coined the idea of British Empire. The final phase of the working, Parsons ends up meeting Marjorie Cameron, who he actually believed to be the physical incarnation, the Scarlet Woman. And Crowley kept calling Parsons reckless. Perhaps it was professional jealousy in the circles that they ran, or Crowley really believed that. But Parsons winds up getting blown up, so maybe Crowley was correct. If you take one look at Marjorie Cameron, she's very beautiful and looks like she means business. It's been speculated that she was involved in military intelligence. More on her another time. However, um, some occultists actually believe that Parsons and Hubbard opened a portal, but did not exactly achieve their fullness of their goals. However, Marjorie Cameron arrived. It's hard to find out information on it, and I derived it from a tape, some radio tapes of James Shelby Downard that Marjorie Cameron and Jack Parsons entered the Jet Propulsion Library telescope area, or no, sorry, Caltech's massive telescope. They um, focused it and beamed it in on Saturn for the Saturn energies, and they tried to go in there and copulate and form a moon child, which Crowley wrote a book, Moonchild, possessed with the idea. These things are dark. It's always like they want to summon an antichrist or dark figure, or if you look at upon it another way, perhaps liberation from uh, societal norms and oppressions and so forth. So he did believe that he invoked Babylon, powerful thelemic force. It's very Lovecraftian, although there's no evidence that Parson even cared about Lovecraft. Some people have brought up the fact that he bears an uncanny resemblance to Tony Stark, Iron Man, the scientist, Marvel Comics, and he was Marvel Whiteside Parsons. Perhaps now the great, along with Wolverine and Spider Man, one of the greatest characters is Iron Man, Tony Stark. He certainly bears a more than significant resemblance to Parsons all the way. Um, so he was part of the Agape Lodge in the Pasadena area. And um, so planetary magic was significant to him. Saturn played a symbolic role in the rituals, meaning the end of an old era and the beginning of another new era. So there's no direct evidence that Parsons performed a specific Saturn um, ritual, but I believe he did. I believe James Shumley Doward, who's a Cowan, an anti-magic and anti-Masonic conspiracy theorist guy that really, nevertheless, knows a lot. When we're finally going to work our way over to the Trinity test, because part of this is the atomic bomb ritual. Um, Certainly, the group created consciousness or egregore is always involved. That's spelled Egregore. That's a thought form, and occultists have speculated that Parsons' experiments may have opened a metaphysical gateway. And so, too, the dropping of the atomic bomb, could it have been an esoteric ritual? This was blatantly brought out in the second series of Peter Lynch's Twin Peaks The Return, that was 25 years after the original Twin Peaks. Cosmic intrusion, esoteric forces are shown. And the atomic bomb blast sequence involves themes of cosmic intrusion and esoteric forces, opening gateways to non intelligences, the birth of evil through nuclear devastation. The Trinity test represented a metaphysical rupture. This very much aligned with the beliefs of top lieutenant of Aleister Crowley, that's Kenneth Grant, who believed the atomic bomb test excited the shades and possibly opened a gateway for malevolent entities to enter this plane of existence. It was also Jumbo, was a massive steel containment vessel. Nobody knows why they had it near there. They placed it about 800 yards from ground zero. An absolutely massive steel container. Downard himself theorized that they possibly were trying to produce a homunculus, a little spirit man, homunculus entity inside the Jumbo. And it took quite a bit to blow that thing up after the bomb test. The Trinity test itself, truth and consequences. The Manhattan Project. Is it too far? Do we go too far in saying it could have been a ritual? I don't think so. Could Kenneth Grant, the disciple of Crowley, speculated that the nuclear explosion could tear apart reality, allowing extra-dimensional forces to enter? This, of course, is very Lovecraftian. I don't know what Philip K. Dick thought about it. I gotta look that up. Collective unconscious and unseen forces, um, shared belief and ritual, of course, the atomic bomb test, like September 11th, like the Kennedy assassination, are almost, you might say, such traumatic events, psychodramas. Is it, do we go too far in saying that they have a ritual aspect of it? I doubt it. I tend to think there's something to this. It's a fascinating web of occult symbolism, cosmic horror, and metaphysical rupture. So there's a rupture in space time when you tested that. Does the radiation since the atomic bomb test, of course, made perhaps millions sick and was crazy. Why blow up Bikini Atoll? Unseen forces, shared belief. So the Woodsmen and the Black Lodge entities, the Black Lodge in Lynch's films, kind of a dimensional gateway. At least that's what I thought. Hermetic transformation from the bomb and the Babylon working ritual. So tearing open reality, allowing extra dimensional forces to enter. Like Bob, the guy with the beard and the long gray hair, a malevolent entity that tore through into this reality. He's sort of traveling in Twin Peaks: The Return, one of the weirdest scenes in television history. So yeah, tearing open reality. Um, the score of music, Penderecki's score, was very very eerie during that, and the chanting by the woodsman worker, or the worker that was in the desert. What type of entities come through? So sigil magic, egregores, and thought forms, um, are shaping reality, and like internet memes, and now AI. Very hard to tell the difference between a natural being and an AI driven created being more and more. And I myself included, sometimes you enjoy playing video games. Could we being sucked up into the metaverse as an alchemical space? The digital realm now we're going into. So the shades were excited and they rushed to the membrane that surrounds the Earth after the testing of the atomic bomb, the Trinity site. Lovecraft died before they tested the atomic bomb, so I don't know if he had an opinion on it. He couldn't have an opinion on it. So, this is the end of part one of the Babylon working in the atomic bomb ritual. See you in a moment.